Cristhian Mosquera. There's been a breakthrough in talks with Valencia for him. He's been spotted at the airport making his way to Arsenal. He's confirmed his exit from Valencia. I think the fee that's been quoted, so he had that 20 million euro release clause in his contract, but even if all the add-ons are hit, the total fee will still come in at under that. So another really good piece of business from Andre Berta in particular. And for the price that they're paying, his experience, he played a lot of La Liga games last season. His injury record as well is fantastic. Is this deal just an absolute no-brainer for Arsenal?
Yeah, it seems like it. It's another really good bit of business. Like you said, again, Arsenal didn't blink in that one. Valencia trying to play hardball on it, but Arsenal knew they were in a really good position. They'd done their sort of work behind the scenes. They knew the player only wanted them. He had a year left on his contract. Valencia could play the sort of tough guy act publicly, but realistically, there was only one way this was going to end, and it was that an agreement was going to have to come with Arsenal. When they've done that, just under 15 million initial fee, it's a good deal for it. I can't say I'm a expert in Cristhian Mosquera in terms of how he plays, but from what I understand, he's a good, talented player from my very limited knowledge of him. So it looks like a really smart piece of business for a young up-and-coming centre-back. It fills the sort of right centre-back cover that Arsenal have needed for a long, long time. He can play left centre-back as well. He's very two-footed, which is good. He can play right-back as well. And, Arsenal could need that last season. The amount of times they've had random players filling in at right-back over the last couple of years. It looks like a really good piece of business. And again, when you talk about the fee there, and you talk about the fee for Madueke and Kepa and all that, the money that they've saved in those sort of deals, maybe that's why they've gone a little bit higher for Madueke than some people think they should have done as well, because it's all sort of balanced out with the other deals that they've done. So, yeah, it's another really good piece of business. I'm looking forward to seeing Mosquera play, I have to say. Again, he's kind of an unknown signing. We know all about Madueke. We know pretty much all about Zubimendi and players like that. But Mosquera is an exciting one for me. He looks like a really raw but talented young defender who could well be a big, big hit in the Premier League. And it's always nice to have those sort of signings with a bit of mystery about them, because not too many of us are experts on him. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he plays and how Arsenal use him as well.
Yeah, like you said, certainly neither you nor I nor lots of Arsenal fans will be experts on Mosquera. I'm sure we've all been watching the YouTube compilations, perusing the stats websites, trying to find out some more about him. And from my very limited knowledge as well, he seems like he's 6'3", very physical player, very good at winning duels, which of course we know Arteta loves that. And again, versatile, like you said, left centre back, right centre back, can play right back as well. So does he really seem, tailor-made for this Arsenal team that Arteta has built?
Yeah, he's exactly what a Mikel Arteta signing is, isn't he? Versatile, strong, powerful, good on the ball, two-footed, which again is a plus for Arteta. So he just ticks all the boxes. And again, when you look at Madueke, right-sided, left-sided, it's that sort of versatility that Mikel really does like in his players. He ticks an awful lot. He ticks all the boxes that Arsenal look for when it comes to a profile.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, he won't be expected to displace any of Arsenal's starting defenders, certainly not in his first season, maybe not first couple of seasons, but of course he'll be a genuine backup for William Saliba, who has often lacked a genuine backup in recent years, because of course he has got Timber and White who can play there, but it always seems like one of them is usually injured, so the other's got to hold the fort right back for weeks on end. Tomiyasu, who we'll actually speak about in a bit, has obviously now had his contract terminated. So how crucial would it be for William Saliba to finally, have some cover, and then Arteta can rest him a bit more next season? He's not been able to rest him maybe as much as he would have wanted to over the past 2 years, but with Mosquera coming in, he can. So how important will that be for Saliba as well?
Really important. I mean, you think 2 of the last 3 seasons, Saliba hasn't been able to finish the season because of injury, because he's been playing so much and then he misses the end of the season. So it's really, really important. There's always seems to be, whenever Arsenal look to sort of rotate in defence when they're playing a League Cup game or something like that, you still always had either Gabriel or Saliba starting one of those in those games. It's either one or the other. So to actually have proper cover that allows both, if needed, to be given a rest is absolutely crucial. Arsenal's season last season was so littered with injuries. It stopped them being able to achieve what they wanted to achieve, or at least have a real good go of achieving of what they wanted to achieve. It was down to injuries. There's no doubt about that in my mind. And so much of this summer going into it and the preparation had to be, what can we do to limit the chances of repeat next season injury wise for what we've just been through. And the simple answer to that is get better players in, get a bigger squad that you can trust and that you can use, and so you can rest the players. And I think when you look at the signings they've made this summer, you look at the potential squad depth. By the end of the week, Madueke, Gyökeres, and Mosquera are in. The squad depth you've got there, when you look at it, it's really, really strong for Arsenal. When you look at, you probably, if you've got a bench of 8 or 9 players at the opening weekend of the season, if everyone's fit, you're probably going to have to leave out a couple of really good players in that. And that's what you want. It's what Arteta needs to be able to give the squad the best possible chance of staying fit throughout the season.
Yeah, it's going to be such a competitive, pre-season, early stage of the season. But you mentioned the injuries there, and injuries and Takehiro Tomiyasu, are synonymous. And there's been confirmation now that his deal has been terminated. Like you said, the injuries have won that battle. We've seen it so many times with Arsenal. I think back to players like Jack Wilshere, Abu Diaby, maybe even Eduardo. That horrific leg break. Just the injuries really prevent them. Of course, Tomiyasu was a brilliant player on his day, but the injuries just took hold, and it's a real shame for him because he was such a fan favorite. As soon as he joined, he was a real fan favorite straight away. It was painful to see, certainly from my point of view, painful to see his contracts terminated. With 1 year left to go, very little chance of him, recovering or playing a big part next season. So do you think Arsenal made the right decision there, terminating his deal?
Yeah, I do. And it was very much a mutual thing. It wasn't just an Arsenal thing. This is, Tomiyasu was quite happy for this to happen. It's given him his chance to be able to continue his rehab and try his best to get back to fitness, but on his own terms, in his own way, and more importantly, nearer to home for Tomiyasu as well. So this wasn't just a sort of cutthroat Arsenal decision here, which I've seen some people suggest it is. They've talked about, oh, why did El Neni get a new contract when he was injured just so he could continue his rehab? Arsenal would have looked after Tomiyasu if that was what both sides agreed was best to happen. But I think for both sides, they both kind of wanted this to happen, and it allows Tommy to do what he wants to do back at home in Japan to really sort of focus on trying to get his career back on track. And it's still a long way from doing that, So I think it's the right decision for all parties. It really is. And like you said, it's just a real shame. It's just your overriding feeling this. You had a player who was just perfect. It's a manager's dream. It's a fan's dream, to be honest. I don't really know, and I've watched football for a lot of years. I can't remember a defender as good at playing in every position across the back line than Tomiyasu. In anywhere, he could play right back, left back, centre back, right centre back, left centre back. No matter what position he played at, you would have felt absolutely total calmness of watching him. Imagine playing Saliba at right back or Gabriel at left back. As good as they are, you'd be worried as an Arsenal fan. If you're stuck, you moved Gabriel out of position to man mark Mohamed Salah, for example. You do that with Tomiyasu and you feel completely calm about it because he's that good. So it's such a shame it's come to this, because he would have been such a valuable player for Arsenal. Where he was such a valuable player, he would have continued to be such a valuable player. So it's just a real shame. I just hope he can get himself back to playing and can continue, because it would be awful for him if the injuries took their toll on him. He's still got so much more to give.